by Mike Renato and Ken Kino. And gentlemen, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. We're really pleased to be here and get the message out about what's going on this evening, and the message about how we look at the future for having this museum in the Kenosha area.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, indeed. And I'm thinking, Mike, that you run into a number of people. You bring up this idea, and they're saying, "I'm all for it. This sounds like a great idea."
How can anyone not be, for this? We've found nothing but positive support. I think it's a fantastic idea, and we need to make this happen. Every day that goes by, we lose historians, we lose artifacts, and by artifacts I mean classic cars. And
But the one thing that you find out along the way, when it comes to those artifacts, there are still plenty of them around, especially when it comes to having these gatherings, of enthusiasts of American motors and Nash vehicles. Because, Ken, they're coming around, they're in beautiful condition, and people really care about the vehicles that were made by that plant, not just in Kenosha, but also, there is plenty going on in Milwaukee and Racine as well.
well, of course they do. I mean, these are cars that have longevity, most of them, and the styles were there. The styles even today they attract people. And what they brought to the Kenosha area and what they brought to as far as historical value, they still have people that are very, very interested in this. So, and my good friend here is very excited about someday having his own 8-cylinder Gremlin.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to have one, yeah.
Where did they make one? I was not aware of it.
Oh, absolutely. And, that's one of the reasons that I'm, fully behind this AMC Nash Museum is because of the innovations that came out of Kenosha.
Sure.
AMC and Nash, the engineers, were very innovative. They did a lot of different things, and, when you look at some of the prototypes that they developed, if you look at the AMX3, which never made it to production, but when you look at that car, you'd buy it today. It looks like a Lamborghini. The car did 170 miles an hour. These are things that we need to see.
But do you think that AMC needed to do that simply because there was the big three in Detroit and then there was AMC in Kenosha? They needed to garner that attention? Or is it just a case where these were forward-thinking designers, engineers that were putting together these vehicles, and people love these vehicles to this day? The style of the Javelin, the quirkiness, if you will, of the Pacer and the Gremlin, but all together, it really made for a memorable vehicle.
Absolutely. Our vision is not just a museum to celebrate the cars. The cars are wonderful, but to also celebrate the buildings and the people that work there.
Right.
The innovations that came out of Kenosha, many people don't realize that if it wasn't for American Motors, Nash, we wouldn't have a steering wheel. Back in the early 1900s when car production first started, cars were driven with a rudder.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You were?
Yeah, you mentioned, Mike, about the people, and that's the thing, too, Ken, because before we went on the air, I was mentioning I had a couple of uncles that worked at the AMC plant, and I think everybody in this area, if you're in Racine, Kenosha, or Racine and Kenosha counties, you'll run into families where there are a number of people that were on that assembly.
Exactly. I mean, even my maternal grandfather worked at Nash Motors, and he worked there till he passed in 1950, and then I've had cousins and uncles work there, and it's been a long tradition in our family to that people worked for when it was Nash and when it was AMC and stuff. So when Mike here was just talking about the AMX3, if you go to our Facebook page, Committee to Bring AMC Museum to Kenosha, that's on the Facebook page, and it is just a stunning looking vehicle. When I saw that, I think I called Mike or got a hold of him on Facebook and said, "Can you buy this still?"
Is this for real?
Yeah, it was something, and it was just it's gorgeous, and it looks like a vehicle that you would buy today, and it would but it's too bad that they didn't do that.
Yeah, I'm thinking, with what you're talking about and what I'm talking about, Mike, the family members, down the line that had worked at the AMC plant, in a number of different configurations, I guess, you have no problem finding support for this for a museum to honor the tradition, the innovation, and the people that worked at AMC, and that's one of the reasons why you're having this meeting tonight, correct?
Absolutely. We found great support within the community, and it's continuing to grow. One of our biggest challenges will be when we present to the city, hopefully this summer, and that's when we really need to hit the home run and, get this off the ground.
Okay, so this is going to be going on at the UAW Local 72 Hall. As you mentioned, it's on Washington Road in Racine. If you were one of the folks who stopped...
Kenosha.
Oh, did I say that? Okay, sorry about Kenosha. Well, the story is with that, it was probably the main venue, that the UAW Hall in Kenosha, where where one of the reunion sites was, when it came to a number of those different vehicles that stopped by. And when you end up going into the hall, you see that they've preserved the tradition of AMC very well, with a number of different matters hanging on the wall. And along with that, they probably still correspond with a number of people who actually worked at the AMC plant, though it's been shut down for quite a while.
My understanding is that I had spoke with the recording secretary there to get information and okay to do this, and it was okay by the board there. That's still left over. And they're all volunteers, my understanding is, too, and they were kind enough to give us the use of the building tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened, they were able to let us use it and stuff. So, okay. But I guess going back a little bit too, if I can give some background here.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
With the Facebook page and stuff, and we were able to get enough information until Mike came along. I was looking for a co-chair here because I knew as this was growing, I knew I could see it was growing leaps and bounds. Mm-hmm. Huge response to this. And I thought, well, Mike's the guy. Mike's going to be my co-chair. And I started this like in December 13 and decided that we were going to do this. And we had a lot of response. There was a lot of response back then, but when Mike got involved, it jumped up the ante a little bit, and we're up to, like Mike said, over 700 members.
Are you guys surprised that nobody spearheaded something like this sooner, that the responsibility is falling on you two?
They did. There was a Vince Ruffalo gentleman that tried to do this. I don't know exactly the whole information, but there's information out at UW Parkside in the archives out there about what he did and what his affiliation with AMC and MASH was. We haven't gotten that far.
That'll be one of our next steps, is delving into his vast accumulation and seeing what we can learn. Every day is a learning process with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got to feel like a full-time job, taking all this information together.
We're not getting much sleep because we do actually both have full-time jobs.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult to do both, and one of the reasons we're having this meeting tonight is to generate not only support, but to see who's going to be able to step up and help us out.
Yeah. And now, how many, when it comes to the Facebook page, how many followers now when it comes to that? How many likes do you have?
This morning we had 707.
And I'm thinking, Mike, that from those 700 or so, you've probably heard from at least half of them providing a little piece of information to provide for your research, as well as for any other materials that you need to get even further into this project.
Absolutely. In fact, two gentlemen have stepped up to the plate. One of them had previously began creating a website for a virtual AMC NASH museum, mm-hmm. and he has since joined in with us. We'll be announcing the website tonight at the meeting. We also have another gentleman who he's an engineer for a construction company out in New Mexico, mm-hmm. and he's going to begin the process of our 501c3 documentation, which will give us tax-exempt status and allow us to accept donations.
Yeah, so this has been a learning process for both of you when it comes to that.
Absolutely.
I never realized that we were going to, I thought, well, we just go see how far this goes and see whether or not that, if we get 200 people, to like this, and then probably around Christmas time we kind of up the ante this past year, and it says, well, we need 250 more by Christmas or by the end of the year or something. No problem.
Yeah.
We were up to 500.
Wow.
Within probably a week or two, if that long. And, like I always go on Facebook and say, tell your friends and your outlaw friends and your in-laws and to tell them to like the page and get interested in what's going on. And even since then, we've jumped up another over 200.
And I'm thinking it's more than just locals, too, because there are people from around the country, even around the world.
Yes.
Yeah. I love the AMC vehicle, Nash, Rambler, whatever the case may be.
There's the gentleman, Jorge something, I can't remember his last name, is from Mexico.
Yes.
And he's always on the Facebook page, our Facebook page, always
Following us.
Yeah, contributions and everything.
Yeah.
So there's a number of them, and as far as even other parts of the AMC, the car clubs and things like that, we have a few followers from there. We hope to get from the Rambler Ranch and a few other places that have extensive inventory of these vehicles. So
right.
We'd like to see how that goes in the future when we finally get this building up and running.
And that's got to be a great feeling for both of you, because you may be the ones who are going to be, moving this thing forward, but you're not alone, because you've got so many people behind you, you've got so many sources of research, and really people that are willing to help along the way, because the thing is, you're coming to this meeting tonight, but there are an awful lot of hurdles to overcome to make this museum a reality, too.
Absolutely. And, like I said before, we're not going to, we won't be able to do this alone. We need support from not only the community, but from the city. Let me just share, something of our vision with you, and that is we don't want to see this as strictly a car museum.
Right.
Like I said earlier, this is a museum not just for the cars, but for the building and the people that work there. And we envision, various departments highlighted within the museum, such as, a nurse's station, because nursing was so much a part of AMC. If you got injured on the job, you relied on, the staff of those nurses. Also, the engineering department, with their various innovations and inventions that came out of Kenosha need to be spotlighted as well.
It looks like a city within a city.
It really was.
Yeah. You see, and not only that, a culture within that city within a city that a lot of people were involved in, and a lot of people remember fondly as well.
Well, obviously, back when I was growing up, I went to McKinley Junior High School. And so then I walked from McKinley on 52nd Street to my home over near Columbus Park. And so what happened was a few things, was some sort of, I don't know if aroma, what would be the right word that we use?
Ken's referring to the engine department and the smells that would emanate from that. And he asked me what that was, and I told him that was fluid used for honing out the engine blocks. And, it smelled to high heaven, but that was part of the production. And I reminded him, too, of, do you remember all the lunch breaks of the workers running across the street for their lunches? And,
And I'm thinking that would also be, important to implement along the way, too. Just these places where the fellows and ladies as well used to congregate for lunch across the road, and even after work be able to, get their steam off, if you will.
Unwind, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure that Freddy's East and Freddy's West over there, for a couple reasons, knew that the workers were coming in, and they were coming in, and when they were coming in, they had a specific place to sit.
Sure.
And had their
Hungry Head down by the lakefront. Everybody would go there and grab a sandwich for lunch.
Right. Sure.
Okay.
So, it was a culture. Yeah.
Okay, fellas, give us all the details about tonight's meeting and anything else you want to mention before we wrap things up here.
Well, again, thanks for having us. Very much appreciated to give us this chance to tell what's going on here.
because the meeting itself is going to be going on, if I'm not mistaken, it starts at 7 o'clock tonight at the UAW Local 72 on Washington Road in Kenosha. And then from there, because obviously this is an organizational meeting for you folks to be able to enlist more support, enlist more help when it comes to what's going on.
Well, we're going to be meeting at 7 p.m. again at Local 72 Hall, 3615 Washington Road in Kenosha, and we'll be there from 7. Hopefully, we'll have overflowing hall of people interested in doing this. Again, if you have a car, if you have somebody that works there, if you have anything else that brought you to AMC or a vehicle, show up, and but the meeting itself will be to basically help organize what we're doing, and give a chance for people to express themselves with some of their ideas, and go from there. And we hope to have everybody has a vision, and I'm sure they would like to share it because we've seen it on Facebook already.
Indeed. Ken Keno, Mike Romano joining us there, the fellows who are going to be spearheading this meeting tonight, and they're spearheading moving forward with the AMC Nash Museum in Kenosha, and you can provide your input and perhaps they're hoping your help as well when it comes to this tonight.
Absolutely.
At the UAW Hall in Kenosha. And by the way, I know that you folks you two thanked Liz Snyder of the Kenosha News for bringing attention to what's going on. Well, I want to do the same thing, because if it weren't for that, I wouldn't have seen the article, wouldn't have contacted you guys, and wouldn't have had you here in the studio to talk about it on your radio friend, AM 1400 WRJN. Mike, Ken, we've talked about AMC a number of times on this program. We love the vehicles. Good luck with your efforts, you two.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We appreciate it. It is 10:50 on your radio friend, AM 1400 WRJN.